Oh, yes. A blessing good morning on everyone. A blessing good morning on everyone. A blessing good morning to the community in which I live. A blessing good morning to Trinidad and Tobago, to the world. And I pray that we overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, look at me. I just happened to be sitting down and my mind just happened to be traveling. And sometimes when my mind starts to travel, I think of saying something according to what I perceive when I'm traveling, according to how I think, what I to my imagination, and so on. So I decided to put my imagination into a discourse, an explanation of what I imagine and what is real. Because sometimes when you imagine something with the idea that it should be real, right? According to the older saying, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Now, let's talk about unity. Unity 50 years ago is different than the unity today. Why? Because of changes. But in order to unite, I will put the word resource or resources, whatever we have to supply, whatever we have to support. Because unity is really to bring your resources together. Mental resources, whatever you have to supply in order to ignite or to keep that unity bright, shining, and lightning. A flame of unity, a burning flame. Then we are talking about unity of poor people. People who don't have. People, if they have on a Friday, it's finished on a Monday. They have to look to see if they could get before the next payday comes up on another Friday or another month end. People who are frustrated. People who have been suffering from colonization, slavery, and all these things. People who don't have a culture. People who don't know themselves inside out. No one's speaking about unity of every race of people, but I have to say something special about we, the African people, the people from Alkibu land. Because while the other races, and you see, race must come in. You know, sometimes when I talk about race, people frown, but race must come in because the Indians have that inborn unity in them. Because when they look around them, they can see Ramesh Leela, Bhagwan Singh, many of the streets, Indian names. When they go down in Central, which is dominated by a lot of Indians, they can see the Hindu temples. They can see places like the bamboo. Many Indians, many industries controlled by the Indians. And from ever since I was small, I've been seeing that. When you go to the Chinese even have a Chinatown in Port of Spain. You go up Charlotte Street, you can see many of the Chinese writing. You can see they have a Chinese association. you can know that behind closed doors they are together. They have the association where they can meet and discuss. You have the Mahasabha, which was ruled by Satmaraj, the deceased Satmaraj, bless his soul. You have the Syrians. Everybody seems to be united within a bubble of their own atmosphere. So whenever I start to talk, I have no other choice but to speak race to my people, because my people are the only people in the midst of all these bubbles of unity that are not united within their own bubble. That you walk down the road, you can't even see a name, how many names on the street with African names, because there were no such thing as African names for us when we knew ourselves in this world. We didn't even want to know anything about African name. Give us an English name and we'll feel comfortable. Give us an African name and we'll scorn it. You call a man an African name in the 50s and the 40s and what's that? Because he only see Africa and anything relating to Africa as demonish, starving, the phantom and the Tarzan mentality. When we look around, how many people can we see in the as our people in the image of Bhagwan Singh, Ramesh and Leela, Ratans? How many people can we see in that image around us? Look around here in East Dry River. Everybody wants a part for his or her car. He goes to the bamboo. Why can't we go to ourselves? Why can't we stay within ourselves? We live in an area dominantly Africans, East Dry River. How many African names you see on the street signs? I live in an area where dominantly Africans, and when I look around, I saw one or two Indians. And you know what happened? I passed one day and I heard the Indians dancing and singing to Indian music. And I said, look at that. That's very good. That's nice. But how many Africans do you see in this dominated African community dancing and singing to African music? So my people, please don't get vexed with me when I talk about Africa and Africans. I'm not talking about black people, because the Indians are black also. In fact, the deceased Lord Krishna sang, so if you are not white, you are considered black. But it seems as though that everybody is straight here ain't black at all. It's only the not hair, the kinky hair, the hair whose shares as wool and feet as burned brass. Only he alone can be considered black. I am black and comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, at the tent of Peter and the curtains of Solomon. I was talking to my brother, and he said to me, forget about the Black Lives Matters. I said, no, I can't forget that. That came from way back. I am black, commonly beautiful, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, at the tent of Kedar and the curtains of Solomon. And we should know that blackness, Kedar, the Israelites. But we ain't going into that yet, because I started off with something and I want to deal with it. But what I was saying, when talking about unity, we have to get that special unity amongst ourselves, to classify ourselves within the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago that says every creed and race find an equal place. No, we cannot find an equal place with other people if we cannot find an equal place inside out of ourselves. So sometimes when people talk about me, African and this African thing, and they don't want to say the word African, they say the word black. They are criminals. They are ethnic criminals. They are damaging themselves, damaging their psyche, damaging their own people because they hate their people. And they see everything about them people on the wrong side. The other people are doing the same thing too. They see the other people doing the same thing too, and they wouldn't try to put that into a what is the word? I forget the word. But they weren't trying to put that into numbers to say, well, who is. In fact, we shouldn't be doing that. But there are some people, they will look at their own people and say, you see, I tell you, it's black people, black people. But the other people doing the same thing too. And they would never say, I tell you, it's Indian people, look, he's an Indian, look, he's an Indian. But they're ready to black people. And when they say black people, they're talking about African only. Yes, they were the statistics. Their statistics of crime is being dealt with only the black people and the young black boys of East Driver and Bitham Highway. And I'm not saying that they are wrong because Gypsy and Calypso, little black boy, I am not saying that they are wrong. What happens is that they do not understand the system. They do not go into the psychological part of it, of where we came from, where we are, and where we should be going. They just see the statistics of, it's all them big black boys from East Driver boys. Can I tell you that? It's black men, black men. Who killed Muhammad of San Fernando? Is Terence Muhammad his name is? There are many, many nice, in fact, always have the good and bad and the difference in them, right? I saw Indian people doing certain things and people turn a blind eye and a deaf ears towards that. I have been lining up in line already, and the line pushing on people, boy, you see, they got people, black people. An Indian young fella came, and this is no joke, this is no makeup thing. He started to push through. Nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing because we were programmed by Willie Lynch. We were programmed in the Caribbean. We were programmed for these things to happen to us. And what Willie Lynch said, he said, when I program these people, it will go for over 400 years, maybe over 1,000 years. Oh yes, we ought not to be looking back. We ought to be going forward. But if we ought to be going forward, we have to unite. And our unity has to be based on what was taken away from us when we were united. Our unity doesn't have to be based on a slavery and a Tarzan and a Phantom and who are not here. No, we cannot have unity like that. So while I wish the whole world could come into unity regardless of race and creed, I say I have to deal with my people in a special way. And many of us don't want to understand that because we are being bought over, we are being sold over, like in the slave days, to this system. Some of us make all our advances, our promotion, we build house and buy cars from this system. So to say that I'm black and I'm African, or what my friends will say, or what the society which I belong to will say. What does it profit a man to gain the world and suffer the loss of his soul? Everybody have the soul with them. The Indians have their soul with them because they have the soul brothers and soul sisters with them that will never look at them and say, hey, you Indian. We're dealing with Indian folk. You come from India? Not the Chinese. I was dealing with a brother up in the hospital the other day, and he wanted to tell me that he ain't no African and all kind of nonsense. And it's a sickness. When last have you heard and seen an Indian walking the streets and calling them Indian, me no Indian, especially on Indian arrival day? When last have you heard a Chinese say, me no Chinese, like, oh, they are Trinidadian? They will never say so because they know that they are Trinidadian, but they know that they have to have their soul with them. Where did that soul came from? That soul was imported. Columbus didn't come here and find Indians and Chinese. So they had to come from outside. And where they came from, they don't ever forget that place where they came from or where their race of people originated from. We always want to forget it and talk about the mix and Douglas and all that kind of thing. If you have a Douglas, we're going to have you on both sides and we're going to love you on both sides because you're mixed. But once you're like this, naughty here and whatever, right? You have to go back. If you have a Douglas, you make your choice. Whichever choice you make, we're going to accept you. But we have to go back. From whence ye come, we shall return. So unity in the world is a must. And we must unite. But in order to unite, we have to have resources. We have to deal with changes. And this is why, how much resource? All right, I said the Indians have, the Chinese have. How much resources we have? When you go down to Port of Spain, how much black do you see have big rising business and so on? So in order to unite, we have to understand what is our resources. And if you are not strong in the financial part, in the part of revenue, the part of finance, we have a resource inside of us, our intellectual, our intuition, our whatever you want to call it, our spirituality. We have, that is our basic foundation. So we have to unite spiritually. That's one of our basic resources. And we cannot unite spiritually by being Anglican, Methodist, Presbyterian, Catholic. Oh no, that is what they did to us in order to divide us, so we can split up that resource, our resources, and our resources will go towards them. Will go towards them to build them. As we know many times grandparents die and they say what? They leave it for the church. The church and these environments become very rich from our resources. Long ago, when Tanti used to make jam and go by the roadside, we had good jam. Guava jam, pumpkin jam, and Tanti used to have a tray by the roadside, all by the schools, a little paper. Today, my people, if we want to unite, we have to come back to the time when we could produce it rather than they looking at us, copying from us and produce it, and we finish with all that and we're going to buy it from them. And then it is contaminated with chemicals, artificial coloring, artificial flavoring. And that means they are killing our unity, because when we absorb it into our body, we are dying from prostate cancer, diabetes, and all these things. It came to my understanding that it was an African man who started the KFC, the fried chicken business. But you see, when you don't have any unity, you always look to sell your soul to somebody else. So that whatever we have in our natural way, we sell it to somebody, they'll take it, they'll manufacture it, and they'll send it back to us. We have to buy it from them. It just goes to show that unity and resources must go together. But as we unite, we see things happening around us, changes taking place. Long ago, when there was good unity, pure unity, it's no more. Because when a child will get up and say, if a family that plays together, stays together, there's no way. The child gets up and the child puts the phone or the computer to his or her ears. That's unity. Modern electronics and children today are united more than they are united with their parents, their mother and father, and their siblings. Because everybody wants to be there. Hey, dog, we're going on, dog. Hey, bitch, hey, woo. And what are they learning? Nothing but that's just a stupidness. Oh, yes, the electronic system is there. But we have to get the resources from it. We have to get the source from it. And the source from it is not, hey dog, we're going on, bye, bye, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. In the fountain of water, the fools will be thirsty. So we have, in order to unite, we have to have the resources, especially the spiritual resources. And we have to deal with the changes because as things goes along, we have to maintain that unity within that change. As I was saying some time ago, people talk about old school and new school. Old school, you get up, mommy good morning, daddy good morning. If you live in a family greet each other, they pray together, and everybody will know, well, you supposed to clean out the yard, you supposed to wash the ears, there's special chores for the women to do, the men to do, whatever. You don't have that these days. Because within the unity, to maintain the unity, changes have taken place so much so that things get harder. It makes the family more divided, more frustrated. So everybody get up, every man to his own. Boy, I have to be to work now, I have to be to work now. So the family cannot have that unity with the kitchen. They have to reach work so fast so that they have to see if they can catch a food in a box. And when they reach to work, or they can't afford to cook. You know, long time we used to cook food home when we have to go to work, and we had such things like carrier. We used to carry the food and so on. No, people don't carry food today because why? It is already made. It is already contaminated. It is in a box. The oil that they use, the chemical that they use, and we gobble it down. We feel nice. And we look pretty. The women look pretty. They look nice. But they are pretty sick. Because under that prettiness, beauty is only skin deep. Prostate cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. So how are they going to live to continue that unity and to maintain the resources of that unity within these changes? Virtues are not to be destroyed, but all the virtues are destroyed because I've said before that the unity really is everybody to his own self. And still we are not united with ourselves because many of the young boys on the road and the young people and many of the people today, old people today, they cannot understand themselves because they are frustrated. The system is sucking us. The system has set up trap for us so that we can get caught up in the trap. We could be in the jail. We could have a gun and feel that the gun is our God. That once you have a gun, we could shoot somebody. Some of us could be in big position and believe that once we are there, we can classify ourselves with people around us, white people, Chinese, and oh, we are big shot, oh, we are written, and think that they like us, but they really don't like us. They just like us because they want to differentiate us from the lower class of African people in Israel River. So that when you live in Israel River and you start to get big and you get a big work, you move out and you go where the big boys are. You go where the big fishes are. Not where the small fries are. Or if you should stay in this driver, you build up a big house, you have 5, 6 cars, or whatever it is, and you say, I'm not like them. So there is no unity within the changes. Your resources do not belong to them because your resource is to make yourself more wealthier and more wealthier. So you don't share, there is no beneficiary there, no kindness, no charity. All what you can see is the differences between me and you and you and me. So I better than you, you better catch in your ass, and your children never make it in school, my children make it. So that's it. So it's not a matter of your children didn't make it, my children made it. So it is the responsibility of my children to try to correct your children of getting my little advice. No. But some of us again think that when we talk about unity, we talk about, hey boy, I have nothing to do, give me $5. Wake up there, give me a plate of food. No, that is a dependency syndrome. That is a dependency unity. The government in passing nothing. But we must unite within our poverty in order to create something. And our main resources is our intelligence. We have to be intellectual. We have to know that we have our talent in us because we are the same people that go to these other people and build their buildings and be their draftsman and be their carpenter and their mason. But as the good old saying is that a shoemaker never have a good pair of shoes. So we have to keep that resources within ourselves because if we have 3 masons in this community, then we have steel benders, we have carpenters, bricklayers, we can all come together in unity and form a company or a business association. If we have a seamstress, we can do many things by pulling our human faculties, our human resources together. But because of this unity, I think that if I start something, the next thing I will want to do is to get all the money. And no, you see, that is why we have to cut out this thing about old school and new school, because old school taught us to be honest, to have virtues, to be patient. And you can never have old school and new school when it comes to patience, because patience must not get old. Patience must not be differentiated to mean that it's old. Oh, we don't practice that again. We don't want that again. That was a long time. This patience and this thing. Good morning, good afternoon, have no long time. When you in these times, if you have your phone and you call a family, you must recognize the elderly person in the family. That is how we used to do a long time. I mean, they had no phone. When you go into a family home, good morning, everybody. How is grandpa? How is... You must recognize the elderly people and the children. You know what we used to do a long time when my mother cooked? The children had to get first, and then the big people eat after. In this case, we're talking about father and mother and children, because just like mother and always see about her chicks, the father and mother always see about their children. Not kids, right? Because it's an stupid. You're calling human being kids and dog and all kind of things. We are going into the animalistic way of life. And that is why we're fighting and talking to one another, because we are dogs, right? And we are kids, and we are goats, and we are horse. We are not human anymore. So you have that unity within the family, that unity of respect, that unity of age. As age goes along, you respect the little child, what you say, what you do in front of the little child or your children, how you dress, how you talk. You respect grandpa for his age, what you do, what you say, so that grandpa could afford to look at you in a respectful way. You could afford to look at grandpa in a respectful way. And grandpa also have to respect his age, because I see some old people these days just dressing and getting on in certain ways. I want to know if, like, they can't do without the young world. Look at me, I'm getting old. My face is not rosy and nice. And even sometimes when I look at my picture, I say, boy, when he was young, he was nice and handsome. I see my face here going in, I see nothing. So what do you want me to do? To go and take a facelift? To go and do something so I could... No, you cannot stop nature. Because when you're talking about unity, you have to unite yourself within the vibrations of nature. Outside of that is not unity. Your foundation is to be natural, to be spiritual, to be intellectual, in order to make that unity a reality. To be respectful. Respect the elders. How many people today respect the elders? Young people, they don't want to take any warning. They're doing something and they see they're doing something and they study them for it and say, hey boy, I've been seeing you doing that for years and doing certain things for years. Stop a bit. Oh no. Most of them will curse you, they will threaten you. They wouldn't like you. You know why? They don't want to be corrected. And then when you look at them as they don't want to be corrected, where are they going? Some of them can even read and write and spell, and some of them always in some kind of thing, they always want. So that is why some of them not practicing the virtue of obedience to honor their father and their mother so that theirs will be long, they die young. To honor their father and their mother so that their days will be long, they die young. They're going back. Where are you going back with? What's your history? Where are you going back with? All the nonsense that you do. Pray to live old so that you can say, boy, you know, all what I should do, I know realize I should do nonsense. And get yourself together, because you have to live old enough to correct your children or to prevent your children from doing the same thing which you did. that prevented you from being the kind of man, being the kind of person that you should be in, especially in your race of people. Because how many of us in our race of people are the kind of people we should be? Some of us gunning down one another, some of us taking the thief from one another, rape one another. Oh yes, dominantly black people. So what are we going to do? Are we going to start and say, yes, look, all these black people, are we going to do anything about it? But just think of destroying these people, destroying the future. Can we change them? Can we look at them psychologically, spiritually, and hope that they will change so that our future will be a bright future? Or are we just going to sit and say we need black people? So year after year, year after year, generation after generation, we're going to be approaching them with a gun and say, brrr. Oh yes, as the good old saying is, some of us cannot change. And in order to maintain a healthy atmosphere, we have to get rid of the bad ones. But how do we want to get rid of the bad ones? Do you want to get rid of the negativeness in the bad ones? Or do we want to get rid of the bad ones themselves entirely? Do we want to have people to go to the parents and find out, hey, yes, he's a bad boy, he has committed robbery? Where did it all start from? What kind of parents, what kind of friends he had? So when you go back to the past, then we will know that he wasn't really a bad boy. He just went through unfortunate circumstances that caused him to be trapped in a cycle of violence, in a cycle of negativeness. Some of them will like to come out of that. But again, children today making children wouldn't be able to allow them to come out of that. The police won't be able to allow them to come out of that. What could be able to allow them to come out of that is to lure them or to encourage them within a life of spirituality, because they have given up Christianity. Christianity did nothing for them. Nothing. So to say Jesus and do not understand the spirituality, the science of life, not just to believe, but go down to the science of life to see you, because you have been composed by the Almighty, you have been decomposed by the slave master, and now we have to recompose ourselves to an awareness, a consciousness of knowing the reality of every creed and race find an equal place. Because if we have to unite, we have to unite to be like them. And then there's a struggle that the other races who have lived off of us, who have gained so many money, so many financial structure out of us, will like to see us remain there, because the wise only want to live off the fools, and these people will not stand idly by and see us coming up without giving us pressure so that we can stay down. The fashion, the music, the sex, the education, the frustration, the politics, the diseases. So when we unite spiritually, then we will know who we really are, where we came from. And within that spirituality of ourselves, we'll have the forces from outside, our ancestors, our elders, the overseers, to unite with us and move with us, and nothing can stop us. And this is what they're trying to prevent. That is why they have made some of us Catholics and Anglican. We have been that so for years. Do you know that many of the people who initiated slavery were Catholics? They were Christians. Christopher Columbus was a Christian. Don't you realize that Christopher Columbus had a cross? Don't you realize that the head of Christopher Columbus' sword is a cross? Don't you realize that when Christopher Columbus came here and he saw the people within their unity, they ran them out of Port of Spain? Today they are known as the first people. What is Christianity doing about that? How much Christians have you seen gone and said these first people, the Orishas, or which you used to call the Shango, the first people? We have nothing in Port of Spain. They established the unity of their religion and their misconception of life, and all the lies within Port of Spain, the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, the Holy Trinity Cathedral, Grace Fire Church, Independent, Woodford Square, King George V Park. Brother, we have it. It's hard. You know, an incident happened up on Lady Young Road. A truck turned over with a lot of drinks. And there was this security officer explaining it on TV. And they showing a lot of black boys, African boys, going and take the drinks and so on. And he was saying, look at that. All you can see there is black people. And then they call us Negro. They call us all kind of names. Let me tell you something, and I want to say something. If we think that the African youth today just feel shame, just feel humiliated, and we try to live a better life when you give them a bad name or you say, look at them, only blacks. It's only niggers or it's only Negroes. You don't start to think yet. The African youth today, the more you call them blacks and all this, is the more they show you that yes, we are only niggers, we are only Negroes. The more you say they're from East Driver and they're from Vietnam State and see that, they say yes, we're going to show that we are from Vietnam and we're going to show that we're bad. We're going to show what Silas is like. We're going to say what bitterness is like. So from the time I mentioned the word bitterness, they start to tremble. Me, I ain't going bitter boy, not me. From the time I mentioned the word Silas, I said, friend, look here, he from Silas. You look at him as a thief, as a rascal, and you're afraid to pass near him. This is what it is all about today. So when somebody could come on TV and say, look at them as only blacks, you're making things worse for yourself because you should think that as a security officer, you ought not to use your security privilege to do that kind of thing. Because the next thing you know, you go somewhere and some black boys do something and brrr, you shoot them down. What is people going to say? You see, you don't like black boys. You know, the other day he was talking about only black boys, only black boys. Look, you don't like them, you shoot them down. Of course, you may be confronted by the black boys with guns and you have to defend yourself. But what I'm telling you, when you do that, you are putting more fuel in the fire. So people who think negative and don't have no inward spirituality or resources to maintain a unity amongst them people will always look for some scapegoat, or when something happens, the wicked, shoot down the wife first, right, blah, blah, blah. And this is what you are doing. You are creating more annoyance, more grievance amongst the people who have already been aggrieved and be annoyed and be enslaved and be frustrated and continue to do so by this system. Because to survive in this system, it is easy. No, it's not easy. Ask any young woman who wants to go for a walk. How many of them had to move away from the boss man for his sexual advances, or how many of them have to lie on their bed and open the leg in order to get promotion? Ask many of the men about homosexuality. It's not easy because this system was created out of violence. All they're talking about the young boys with guns, long time as a child for Christmas time, we want to have a gun or some little toy to play with. But what happened to this system? So Francis Drake, so Walter Raleigh, so Ralph Abercrombie, they all laid the foundation for this system to be exploiting, to be enslaving, especially as how we have it as mental slavery, so that they could survive. And what they did, when they organized the police service and the security, it was not for the white people nor the Chinese people, dominantly the Africans and the Indians. So when you go to the jail, you'll see dominantly African people. These security forces were created for that. But as time goes about and change come around, the police black, the lawyer black, African. So what? Then somebody started to catch itself and realize, hey boy, all of you in the same thing. We are like crabs in a barrel. Every time somebody wants to come out, we pull it back down, fighting each other. How are we going to get away from that? How am I, as a police in authority or with some commotion, going to sit down one day and say, yes, at last, these African boys from East River, Silat, Mover, what have you, Enterprise Village, have come together and they have formed an industry and the place is peaceful. Oh no, that is not what this system is all about. This system is all about dominating, divide, and rule. So the big fish could live off of the small fish. So if we are coming together, somebody is going to do something politically to see if we can be divided. Look, take some money, go burn down town, block all the roads. You use some kind of event as an excuse, block all the roads. You know why? Because you want to get them out of the way. You want to get the prime minister out of the way. So everybody is using strategy on us so that he and she could rule over us, and some of us sell our souls. We give our soul to them. And we don't know. We laugh and we shake hands with them. But behind closed doors, the whole strategy is a fight down. As you see what's going on now in Jerusalem and so on. If it is dominantly white people, it is the rich against the poor. Don't think they don't have the rich Indians against the poor Indians. And it is a fight right through. But this world today is in such a condition so that in order for the African man to unite, to know himself, to build his own resources, to establish his own self, so that his children will have a peaceful life rather than sitting down and going and thief from other people who have sacrificed and built theirs, and you're just going and you're sticking them up with a gun and you're taking it like if it's yours. In order for us to do that, it is very, very, very hard in these times. Long ago, when a woman wears short pants, she was in the public, she was considered a prostitute. When a woman went on carnival day and wear bikini, she was. In fact, they didn't even used to do that. So today, when a young man could see a woman bend over and a man whining on she, a little child. Today, when a young girl could know that in order to be appreciated, you have to look sexy, so that you can compete with your other woman friend who looking sexier than who, so that the men could be looking at two and two. Right? Our minds are too preoccupied with nonsense, with fashion and music and other things and food establishment that will not get us anywhere. That is killing us out spiritually, physically, mentally, and all. So how are we going to solve that problem? I say spiritually we start with, because the spirit, the divine forces are only waiting for us to get together. They want to help us. They want to help us. I am black and comely, O you daughters of Jerusalem, at the tents of Kedar and the curtains of Solomon. They want to help us. But there's a good old saying, if you try your best, God will do the rest. I don't know. Blessed, and I give my support to those like David Muhammad, Chief Olakila Masatunji, Panabab, Africans Association, the Emancipation Support Committee, and these people should be doing more. I think there's a compromise with these people, but they should be doing more. Some of us are afraid, or some of us using certain strategies so that, we don't want to go too fast because they'll try to keep us down, and, people who have gone in the past, like Bob Marley and Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. How many years did they hear they talking about Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and so on? My people, brothers and sisters, young ones, please unite. Try to use every little thing that is possible, and I say praise and thanks. Yes, there are lots of black youths. Now, let me forget it. There are lots of black youths, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but all over the world, who are coming together. You see black youths in Nigeria making cars, manufacturing cars. You see black youths all about getting all their diplomas and everything. Yes, we are rising, but we cannot stop talking, because there are many, many, many more who will have to suffer and have to die. But we don't want that. We want to avoid that. There are lots of black youths selling water around town and so on. Yes, for some of us, pressure is causing us our back to be against the wall, and some of us, praise and thanks to the Most High, we are trying things that are constructive but are not destructive. right? So we pray and we ask for that thing that with us. We pray that our children will go up. We pray that we be respectful to our children. So that our children will not see us getting on and doing things in which they will believe that that is the norm. Because you carry a child today towards carnival, they'll believe that that was never the norm. That was an outrage to see a woman dressed almost naked on carnival day. It was never the norm. So let me carry them back. Let me show them so that they can know that what they are dealing with now is misconceptions, is fictions, is superficial. Let me carry them back to the real thing, to the natural thing. Let us align ourselves with nature. Let us believe that from whence we come, we shall return. And we cannot return by listening to people saying, you're not African. We have to be. Because if you don't know where you come from, you will not know where you are going. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we will. A young man today who is having sex, who has a child, who is with a woman. Tell me something, young man. Do you want to see that little child grow up stupid and ignorant? Would you like to see that child grow up big and being a carpenter and mason doing a big work? And then that same child is the one who have to come back and honor you and respect you and say, this is my father. He taught me and he sent me to school and I obeyed. Now I am big. I'll make sure that my father is taken care of, that my father does not have to go in a home, that there are enough siblings to take care of my father, family unity, from a baby to an elderly to a very old person. Come on, man. Respect the elders. Have respect for the elders. Do not call on a home without acknowledging the elders, because they are the ones who bring you. And if you want to live then you will come like them, and you know the good old saying, what goes around comes around. Right? Have a good day, my people. I just wanted to say something this morning, and I want to talk. But I know when I feel to say something and I want to talk, I mean, I'm not a perfect human being. Sometimes I talk nonsense and so on. Well, it's good. You must have a balance in life. But whatever I say here, I pray that somebody will take it and go with it. And that little spark could ignite a flame, a fire of unity, so that we can keep ourselves burning with love, burning with togetherness. Not just ourselves, but man, know thyself. We have to know ourselves first. And when we know thyself, then we can get together with others. And then, yeah, every creed and race find an equal place. And may God bless our nation. Thank you, my people. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Let us all pray and avoid the negativeness in ourselves. When temptation comes, let's fight it. Asher, Asher, Amonra, Amonra.